Patch 1.12 Shadow of the Erdtree patch news is available just the day before the DLC drops. So you basically have a day -0, -1 drop. Added support for Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Done. 5 new hairstyles have been added to the game. I'd be curious to see what they are. I have not seen any pictures of that yet. Character creation, or you can use the clouded mirror stand. That would be next to Fia's room, or using Renala's rebirth feature. Added map functions menu to the map menu. New summoning pool features. Active summoning pools will now be carried over to New Game Plus. Individual summoning pools can now be enabled and disabled in the newly added map functions menu. If include distant areas is selected when using the small golden effigy, summoning pools within the Mogwin Palace will not be selected for summoning, even if you haven't activated them. If you are within the Mogwin Palace and select nearby only when using the small golden effigy, you will be able to be summoned within the area. New inventory features. Newly obtained items will be marked with a exclamation point. I feel like that was a thing in some of the Souls games previously, and we were somehow missing that. That could be I recently went through modded versions of each of the games, but I swear like Dark Souls 2 or something had that. Because I habitually need to get rid of the notification symbols. Good change though. That really helps. A new tab called Recent Items has been added to review recently obtained items. Just really kind of helps give an extra exclamation point to the exclamation point. Display settings can be changed from the display tab in the system menu. Added new feature to summon Spectral Steed during the Elden Beast boss fight. During the Elden Beast the boss fight. Or the boss battle. A lot of people are probably going to enjoy that. A lot of people do not like running around chasing the Elden Beast. I feel like it could trivialize the fight a little bit, but at this point, 2 years into the game, just let us have it. We'll see. Added new feature to the Coliseum. Crafted consumable items that have been used during a battle will be replenished at the end of your session. I myself have not really been back long enough to really dive into the Coliseum. I'm also not a PvP sort of guy unless I'm forced into it. But that seems pretty good. Added support for Arabic language. More language support. Always good. Steam only feature. New keyboard and mouse settings. Added lock-on change threshold settings in the mouse controls. What if that's like a sensitivity for how much you have to like scroll before it switches targets? I don't know. Added a setting to change cursor movement behavior in the map menu. Added key assignments to open the map in the key settings menu. We're about to have a bunch of PvP battles. These ones are PvP exclusive. Just changing PvP, PvE is still fine. After being affected by madness and or sleep status effects, the status effect buildup will be halted for a short period of time. That's useful for something like madness or sleep. You don't just get absolutely spammed for it. Increase the poise damage of some attacks against other players of the following weapon types: great swords, colossal swords, curved great swords, great axes, hammers, flails, great hammers, colossal weapons, great spears, and halberds. So, big weapons doing more poise damage. Makes sense. Adjust to poise damage of some dual wield attacks against other players for the following weapon types: great swords, axes, great axes, hammers, great hammers, halberds, reapers. Increased poise damage against other players from dual wielded attacks of the following weapon types: axes, hammers, halberds, reapers. Noticing a theme of weapons of this caliber or trying to buff it a little bit without actually touching the damage too much. Increase poise damage of axes against other players. If you like axes, there's plenty of increase to axes here. Decrease the damage of dual wield attacks against other players of all weapon types. So just using two weapons at once, not quite as strong. Decrease the poise damage of some attacks against other players of the following weapon types: daggers, straight swords, thrusting swords, heavy thrusting swords, curved swords, katanas, twin blades, axes, spears, reapers, whips, fists, and claws. So they buff it with axes, but specific axe attacks might have slightly less. We'll have to see what that means exactly. Decrease the poise value of some attack motions against other players of the following weapon types: great swords, colossal swords, curved great swords, great axes, hammers, flails, great hammers, colossal weapons, great spears, and halberds. Decrease the damage of some attacks against other players for the heavy thrusting swords weapon type. Decrease the damage of dual wield attacks against other players from the following weapon types: spears and great spears. Decrease the damage animation motion of the following weapon types when another player is stunned by a two-handed heavy running attack: fists and claws. Decrease the effect of baldachin, however you want to say it, and radiant version to increase the poise value and physical damage negation in PvP. I guess people were using them a little too much. Some weapon skill adjustments. Spinning slash. All of these are decreased damage, and then, to some degree. So spinning slash, flame strike, rain of arrows, also lowering the poise damage. Curse blood slash, transient moonlight, lightning storm. Instead of decreased damage, just decreased poise damage. Spear call ritual, decreased poise damage. Ancient lightning spear, just damage. Radon's rain, damage and poise. Spinning weapon, damage, animation, motion when stunning other players. 2 incantations got changed. Black Flame's protection decreased physical block rate, and Bestial Sling decreased poise damage. General balance adjustments. So these are both PvE and PvP aspects. Adjusted turning speed when using dual-wielded heavy thrusting swords. Increased dexterity scaling when assigning Ashes of War with corresponding weapon affinities. I wonder if that means that just in general, using something like what would be like keen or sharp, just your dex. If it's the dexterity specific affinity, that the dex goes up, or just in general, it gets buffed slightly. Increased stamina consumption when guarding against attacks of the following weapon types: great swords, curved great swords, great axes, great hammers. Makes sense. They're big weapons meant to kind of get through stuff, so. Increase the speed of some attacks of the following weapon types: axes, great axes, hammers, flails, reapers. Increase the damage of charged attacks from the following weapon types: axes, great axes, and some colossal weapons. Increase the turning speed of normal attacks of the reaper's weapon type. I like that. Increase damage of the whip's weapon type except the Olmi whip. Increase the speed of the consecutive attacks for the following weapon types: light bows and long bows. I'm a avid bow user, and going through Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, and then coming back to Elden Ring, I noticed this. I was firing off shots a lot slower. Now, granted, I also miss more because I feel like the auto-targeting just isn't quite as good. But yeah, the bows felt a little slow to constantly be firing it as a primary weapon. So this is a nice change. Bows just need love in general. Increase the poise damage of the torch's weapon type. Increase the duration of the effect of Mohg's Great Rune that increases the attack power when a bleeding status effect is triggered by a nearby summoned spirit. Decreased the heal amount reduction from the Flask of Crimson Tears and increased the heal on attack effect when using Millennia's Great Rune. Increase the attack power of arrows, great arrows, bolts, and great bolts that can be crafted through item crafting. Do not forget you can craft items. There are some, especially when it comes to ranged options, there are just straight up some things you cannot buy. And now it looks like those things that you just straight up cannot buy are now stronger. Decrease the turning speed of dual-wield weapons for the following weapon types: spears and great spears. Okay, so far that's the first one to decrease the turning speed. Decreased poise generation speed during some attacks of the following weapon types: great spears, halberd spears. Decrease the effect that increases the power of spells of Terra Magica. Decrease the effect during the Cerulean Hidden tier. Now, I believe these are just the weapons themselves rather than the skills. Troll Knight Sword, increased damage. Zamor Curved Sword, increased damage, increased movement distance of some attacks. Force Hatchet, increased damage. Ripple Blade, decrease the status build-up enhancement that scales with the arcane attribute. Now that probably got crazy a little too quickly for him. Serpent Hunter, increase the speed of crouching attacks. Ripple Crescent Halberd, decrease the status build-up enhancement that scales with the arcane attribute. Albinauric, Gelmir, and Prince of Death Staff, increased attribute scaling. And the Golden Order, Clawmark, and Dragon Communion Seal, increased attribute scaling. This was nice to see because the staffs and seals that are meta were just kind of clearly meta. Like, there was just kind of very little competition. And unnecessarily so. Because, I mean, Dragon Communion, that is the arcane. Like, that should be really good, but it wasn't as good as it should have been for its intended purpose. You were still better off just using, the Frenzy or something like that, and then still just doing Dragon Communion stuff. More skill adjustments. The other ones were previously for PvP. These are for all. Kick. Increase the poise amount when using this skill. That's increasing your poise. Okay, so you've got slightly heavy armor while kicking someone. Spinning Slash. Decrease the status buildup of your weapon when using this skill. I guess it procs too often. Storm Assault. Decrease the poise generation speed. Storm Collar. Decrease the poise generation speed. Storm Stomp. Decrease the poise generation speed. Glint Blade Phalanx. Decreased poise damage. That is a shame. That's what I like to use on my Nagakiba. And it was always very reliable to just kind of keep some distance and then break the stance of some enemies. So, might have to find something. Loretta's Slash. Decrease the poise generation speed. Bloody Slash. Decrease the poise generation speed. Strong Shot. Increase the speed of some attacks. Sky Shot. Increase the speed when doing consecutive attacks. Enchanted Shot. Increase the speed of some attacks. Parry. Increase parry hitbox generation speed. I assume that means that it is easier to get it. Stormwall. Increased parry hitbox generation speed. Thop's Barrier. Increased parry hitbox generation speed. Buckler Parry. Added attack recovery time after using this skill. Taker's Flames. Decreased fire's poise damage. Remove the fire's knocking down effect. That seems like that got a hefty change. Moonlight Greatsword, everyone's favorite. Increase the poise damage of heavy and charged attacks, but decrease the poise damage of the generated magic wave. So, I believe they put it more. They're putting more of the emphasis on the actual weapon itself rather than the magical side of it. So you just kind of get a lateral change there. Thundercloud Form, decreased poise damage. Magma Shower, decreased the poise generation speed. Thunderstorm, decreased damage. Bubble Shower, decreased damage and poise damage. I Command Thee Kneel, increase the poise value during the active part of the skill, decreased poise generation speed. Blood Boon Ritual, decreased generated status buildup. Loretta's Slash, decreased the poise generation speed. Wasn't that? Wait, Loretta's Slash, poise generation speed, and poise generation speed. They just put that twice. Bear Witness, increased damage and poise damage. Oh, we actually have an increase. Contagious Fury, decrease the amount of attack power generated by this skill. Alright. Then we've got some bug fixes. In the inventory menu, added the amount of FP consumed for skills in the Ashes of War display information. Reduced the time it takes for some gestures to become cancelable by rolling. Adjusted the input speed in some menus, such as conversation menus, to prevent accidental skips. Fixed a bug that caused damage to the player and friendly summons when using the last right skill under specific circumstances. Fixed a bug that caused higher than expected poise damage when performing left-handed attacks with thrusting swords. Fixed a bug with spinning slash skill that generated poise when used with twin blades. Fixed a bug in the Queen's Black Flame skill that did not apply poise when using this skill. Fixed a bug where the characteristics of some weapons were not working properly against mounted enemies. Fixed a bug that caused a bleed buildup when using the spinning strike skill while under the effect of the blood flame blade skill, even if the attack did not hit the enemy. Fixed a bug that caused some skill to perform incorrectly when specific actions were performed. It's very vague. Fixed a bug that caused unexpected behaviors when some incantations were used in quick succession. Fixed a bug where the spectral steed did not trigger a death fall under certain circumstances. Fixed a bug that prevented players from getting hit by other players under certain circumstances in multiplayer. Yeah, it's kind of a problem there. Fixed a bug in the Colosseum that allowed critical hits against players in specific death animations. Fixed a bug where the Mimic's Veil effect was not properly reflected to the other players under certain circumstances. Fixed a bug that caused other players summoned as hunters to immediately return after being summoned under certain circumstances. Fixed a bug in multiplayer where some spirits could be locked on even after they disappeared. Improved multiplayer stability under certain circumstances. Just do it under all circumstances, that would be nice. Fixed a bug that caused specific maps to render differently than expected under certain circumstances. Fixed a bug where the damage of some equipped weapons were incorrectly displayed in various menus. Fixes a bug that prevented marking sites of grace in the map menu under certain circumstances. Fixed a bug where item names and the cursor were not displayed correctly in the inventory menu under certain circumstances. Fixed a bug where event actions were available while being in the map menu. Fixed a bug in the map menu that caused specific terrains to be displayed differently from the actual terrains. And we have a couple more Steam or PC only adjustments. Change the initial layout of key settings in keyboard and mouse settings in the system menu. If you have created save data before this update, your layout will not be affected. Fixed a bug where the mouse cursor would blink in the title menu, causing the game to be unstable under certain circumstances. Fixed a bug where the submenu with no items would be displayed after a right click during the tutorial. And that is it. That is your Shadow of the Erdtree version 1.12 patch notes.